This is a story about butterbeans and life and death and dirt and love. When I was 21 years old, I had lived in many beautiful places around this globe, but I had never set foot in the South, and I had never heard of, let alone tasted, butterbeans. I was in college and I was living in the Rocky Mountains and life was good, but I wanted to do something different. I wanted to affect people's lives in a meaningful, tangible way. I wanted to serve. I wanted to be like Gandhi or Martin Luther King Jr. I wanted to change the world. So I got on a Greyhound bus and I rode that bus to rural Southwest Red Clay Kudzu, Georgia. And I started volunteering, building houses for people who needed a decent place to live. And I fell in love with that work. And I fell in love with one of the other volunteers. Her name was Susan. And she wanted to change the world. And she loved to pour concrete. And she was cute. And she was from Mississippi. So she taught me the ways of the South, and she taught me about butter beans. You mean like lima beans? I said, early in our relationship. Lord have mercy. Lima beans are mushy gray balls of gush that you buy in a can off a shelf in a grocery store in North Dakota. Butter beans, on the other hand, are small, light green morsels of exquisite deliciousness. And they come from Daddy's garden in Johns, Mississippi, which is a suburb of Puckett, Mississippi, which is a suburb of Brandon, Mississippi, which is somewhere near Jackson, Mississippi. She told me that Pawpaw, he later became Pawpaw, sorry. She told me that her daddy grew these butter beans in this garden, and this was in sacred soil that he had worked on when he was a little boy. And he threw corn cobs at his brothers, and they left a mule in the field, and they got whooped with a switch. One day, I had the opportunity to go with her to see this mecca of butterbean heaven in Johns, Mississippi. And I said, I'll go with you while you go home for the weekend. I want to meet these people, and I want to see this garden. So we drove 7 hours. I got out of the car after a 7-hour drive. I kind of got to go to the bathroom, and this strange and delightful man is walking me through the backyard, talking to me about I don't know what. I'm looking him in the eye, and I'm thinking, I appreciate your passion for what you're telling me, sir, but I don't know what you're saying, and I don't even know what subject we're on. I can't think of a question that I asked you that you're answering right now. He was talking about Coke machines and bush hogs, and I don't know what else. We arrived at the garden, and he said, look at there. They're starting to make, and there were 2 rows of butter beans, and he said, Lord have mercy. He was proud of those. Susan was right. We went back into the house, and I sat down at the table, and I looked at these strange people and their strange culture and their beautiful daughter, and I put some butter beans in my mouth for the very first time, and they were exquisitely delicious. Susan was right. And I looked these people in the eye, and I thought, dang, this could be my people. So we got married a year later in the backyard, about 50 feet from the garden. They sent us on our honeymoon with a cooler. You guessed it, of course. It had butterbeans in it, and they were also delicious. We brought 5 beautiful, wonderful human beings into this world and raised them, being around, now we call them Grandma and Pawpaw, and being at the sacred soil and getting our hands dirty and making a difference in their lives and then making a difference in our lives. The day came when Grandma was having trouble with her thinking, and the day came when she was no longer able to shell butter beans or put them up, and Pawpaw took care of her. And then the day came when Papa was having trouble with his breathing. And the day came when he could no longer plant the butter beans. And they took care of each other. They tried to take care of each other. And we realized that we were in a significant shift in our lives. That our parents had taken care of us all of our lives. And now it was our turn to take care of them. And that's what we did. A few years later, we had to say goodbye to Papa, our beloved Jim, and his life and his legacy. And we laid him to rest about 1.5 miles from his garden. And I was overcome with grief. We walked across the street to that little white church, and people brought food. And I ate butter beans that he did not plant, but it was part of his legacy. I don't know what the future holds. My wife is not here today because she's taking care of her mother right now in Johns, Mississippi, in that house. I don't know if I've changed the world. I don't know if I will be a Gandhi-like person that makes a difference in the world, but I know I've got my hands dirty, and I've loved people, and people have loved me, and life has been worth it. And I know that 2 weeks ago we planted 2 rows of butter beans in that sacred soil in Johns, Mississippi. And Lord willing, the creek don't rise. If we harvest just a handful of those butter beans, we're going to cook them and we're going to eat them at that table. And we may not have changed the world, but we will have made our people proud.